me how you got interested in this.
Well, it's interesting. Back in I guess it was way back in '83, I ended up basically just getting out of Florida State University. I was in there for almost 10 years. Does it have to get before you want to start making choices that are healthy for you?
Good point.
And so that, the other question I always ask them is this: if you're going east on the interstate, but you want to go what need to be avoided, a good alternative is stevia. Stevia does a great job, even if coconut sugar is better than anything like this.
Okay. What's number 3?
Number 3 to stay away from are margarine products. If you don't know that so they pumped all this sugar into the food supply, and basically they've addicted people on the say that if a cocaine addict is given Ritalin, the cocaine addict can't tell whether he was given Ritalin or cocaine. I mean, this is nuts. Jeez. I've seen these kids as young as 2 years of age, George, coming in on Ritalin and basically being told by me or by their parents are telling me, well, I can't control little Johnny. He's hyper. He's 2 years old. He's supposed to be hyper.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, why are we drugging him down?
Any parent who has had a kid, those terrible twos.
That's right. In fact, we've got 4 children, and I tell you what, don't get me wrong. Sometimes when they're 2 years old and they're kind of running around the house climbing curtains, you kind of think, well, this is kind of nuts. This kid's not supposed to be doing this. But no, that's what they're supposed to do. They're learning and they're exploring. So why would you put them on a drug in the same category with morphine when they're 2 or 3 years old to calm them down? If little Johnny had a cold and you went to the doctor and the doctor said to you, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put little Johnny on morphine. We're going to let him sleep some. You'd be like, what's wrong with you? Are you insane? We're not putting my child on morphine. You're putting a child on a Schedule II drug in the same category with morphine when you put them on Ritalin or Adderall. And in the United States Armed Forces, if you're on Ritalin or Adderall on a regular basis, they do not allow you to enlist in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. And, George, I personally believe that the huge problem that we're having with methamphetamines in the United States is basically because of all the methylphenidate, which is what Ritalin is, that we're giving these kids from the time they're 5 years old all the way until they're 18. So for years and years and years, they're taking these drugs, and all of a sudden now they're 18 and they're out of school, and we say, oh, by the way, you can't have your Schedule II drug anymore, so we're going to go ahead and take you off of it. And that's why I believe we have meth labs all over the country cooking this stuff, because people get addicted to this stuff and they need it.
Well, you're right about that. And you just mentioned, was his name Eisenberg or Heisenberg? You're talking meth labs. That's Breaking Bad, right? Jeez.
Dr. Leon Eisenberg. Eisenberg. Okay. February 2012 in their Spiegel magazine out of Germany.
All right, so number 5 was Fructose. Number 6, sweets, cupcakes. How about 7?
Well, no, number 6. We haven't done number 6 yet. Number 6 is soy.
I thought it was cupcakes and Twinkies and stuff.
The junk food category is so huge, George. It kind of covers a whole bunch of different stuff we got to avoid. And so it's the Twinkies, the Ding Dongs, the cupcakes, the high fructose corn syrup.
That's all 5, you're saying?
That's all 5.
Okay, what's 6 then?
And number 6 is not going to be, the people in California aren't going to like this one. It's soy products.
Well, I've heard some negative things about soy products. If one thing
in estrogen, okay, it's a plant-based estrogen, but the problem is our body can't tell any difference, and it really has a tendency to feminize men when you put them on a lot of soy, and it also increases the risks of fibroid tumor formation in breast tissue in women. And the biggest problem that I have with any of these types of estrogen products that we have exposure to, including plastics and pesticides, is that if a woman is pregnant and she's basically carrying a child, obviously, and she's exposed to large amounts of estrogens, it's difficult for her to produce proper amounts of testosterone. See, what folks don't understand, and this is something that I learned when I was in embryology at Florida State University, that in the mammalians, in mammals, all mammals are born or basically conceived as female. And what ends up happening is during the gestational cycle, because of the Y chromosome in the human male, the Y chromosome triggers the mother to start releasing testosterone. This allows the ovaries to become testicles, and it allows the female brain to turn into a male brain in the offspring. And if you have too high of concentrations of estrogens in the diet, the testosterone is not sufficiently high, and it doesn't happen. So you have little children that are born with extremely small genitalia. In addition to that, the female brain is never changed, and so you have little boys born with small genitalia with female brains because of the high incidence of estrogen in the food supply. And study after study after study has shown this, and it's something that people need to realize, that when you're pregnant, you really don't need to have excessive exposure to, artificial estrogens or pesticides in your diet, and you need to really avoid a lot of the plastics that contain bisphenol A. It's absolutely critical that mothers who are pregnant know that to avoid this kind of problem.
It's number 7.
Number 7 is chlorine and fluorine in the water supply.